What's up, y'all, man? This is Coach T with Garage Talk, man. Bringing another combo, man. I'm so, and yeah, I got my Lakers stuff on right now, you know what I'm saying? Representing, shout out to the Lakers. But I'm introducing someone to you who was a close friend, 6-7 years, I think 7 years being friends. He's been a principal, he's been a teacher, and now he's running for congressman in the first district in terms of Oklahoma. And man, we've had some intense times in terms of our conversations the past times, good intense, man. And I'm asking about politics. I'm asking about how politics affects our community that we taught in right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And so, man, I am excited to introduce to you, man, Kojo Asamoa Caesar, man. Peace. I've been knowing him for a little bit, so I'm trying to get this right in terms of his journey till now. So, he's from Ghana, all right? He moved. He came here to America, to Virginia, to pursue law. He went into teaching. He went on a detour into teaching elementary, kindergartners, and even all the way up to third grade, I believe. And he went from that to being a principal, founding principal, and now he is back into law, and he just now he is our new congressman for what district?
First Congressional District.
First Congressional District.
Yeah, I won the Democratic nomination, and so the general election is in November.
Hey,
so if I win that, then I'll be.
Then so he's on his way to the W. All right. So, but man, this is Kojo, man.
Yes.
And I know him as Kojo. I know him as I call him G Payton. You know, we always, you know, we taught class or taught elementary kids before, but in our spare time we like to play hoops against each other. We haven't done it in a long time, and he's a competitor. It gets edgy, it gets crazy. So, but if we ever get us on the same team, that's when you have G Payton and then myself, the Rain Man. So you know we like us some '90s basketball. So. But yeah, man, this is Kojo Asamoa Caesar, okay? When we were teaching elementary, that was kind of long, so the kids called him Mr. AC, all right? So Kojo AC, but Kojo Asamoa Caesar, and we finna get into this thing, man. So what did I miss? Did I hit on everything well? Or
yeah, you hit it well. I was born in Virginia.
Born in Virginia,
but I spent age 2 to 10 in Ghana. Right, so I spent childhood years in Ghana, and then I returned to Virginia. So yeah, so that's.
So your original roots is from Ghana, but your parents.
Yeah, because my parents came from Ghana. Here.
Okay.
My mom came at the age of 23. Met my dad in Alexandria, Virginia, just outside of Washington D.C. And then 3 years later, I was born. Right there. But then because her and my dad split up, she was a single mom. She's going to school. She's working. And she has a big family back in Ghana. So they said, send him back here so we can help care for him.
Right.
And when he's old enough to come back and fend for himself, then you bring him back. So age 2, I went to Ghana.
So your roots are in Ghana, but you probably spent more time here than in Ghana.
Yeah, I mean I spent those 8 years, age 2 to 10 in Ghana.
Oh, okay.
And then I came back here, so I was 10 years old, and then I stayed here pretty much for the duration, and it's just visits now when I go back to Ghana. Yeah.
So he's in politics, man, and he's always been a person passionate about. You were in law school. That's what you really went. You went to law school, and then you transitioned into teaching. Now, was that planned or was that unplanned to teach?
Well, I mean, that wasn't really planned, right? But the thing is, see, I went to law school, so I was always trying to find my place in the world, right? Like, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? And how do I reconcile that with my passion, right? And the only thing I was really passionate about when I was a kid was basketball and soccer, right? Like, it's sports, right? But then you get to a place where you're not gonna be able to play in the league, right? Right?
You come to a reality like, okay.
Yeah, reality check, right? So then, how do you transfer that passion to something else in the world, right? And so it becomes a tough thing. But I was also very curious about a lot of things, right? About religion, about maybe being in sports management or being a sports agent.
Try to still be around.
Right? Sports broadcaster. Right. But then when you go to tell your parents that stuff, they're like, they think those are like dreams that you should put out your mind because it's not really possible, right? So you have to grapple with all this stuff, right? So I was always grappling with, what am I gonna do and how am I gonna,
That's interesting because like, in the black community, I mean, you have, obviously there's more options for any human being, but in our community, I mean, you only really have like two, and I'll put in a half avenues, right? Because I'll throw acting in there, or maybe comedian. So maybe I'll do three. That lane of the entertainment, right? But I mean, you got the court, the field for sports, or you're gonna try to be rapper. So, which I mean, those are things that's kind of in our community anyway. Is just me and my brothers and cousins and friends with freestyle and all this stuff, and and then one of us or a couple of them tried to actually maybe pursue for a second, and that's all it kind of became. But you're right, it kind of becomes complicated when you're searching outside of those specific things. And within our culture and community, because it's so easy for us to, physically do certain things.
Right. And it's also crazy though, because like, if those are the popular avenues for us, but then only a minority of people make it into those. How many players in the NBA? Like 300 and something players in the NBA, right? So the chances are very small, right? And so we shouldn't limit ourselves to that, right? And then for me, my parents being African, it was different. For them, it was like, you gotta do something technical. So it's either engineering or like nurse, doctor, those kinds of things is what they preached, And I also thought that was limiting because I wasn't passionate about those things.
Exactly. So I understand what you say. The birds is chirping out here, but it is. You weren't. We're not interested in those other things beyond that. And I remember my mom as a kid, she would tell me, you need to have a plan B, right? Plan B, plan C, and I was so gun ho on. What you mean? I'm going to the league. I see Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Scotty. Someone has to be there when he's leaving. So I gotta get up in there. And I really believed. I was like, as I'm watching, I feel like I was like in training. I was like almost like interning as I'm watching. I mean, Come Fly With Me. Jordan Airtime. Jordan Playground. I mean. And then on top of that, me recording things, back in the, the VCR days, I'm recording things like ESPN Top 10 or just game highlights or whatever shows on.
Inside the NBA. Ahmad
Rashad, man. So, looking at that, and I'm like, I gotta be the successor of these guys. Tim Hardaway, G. Payton, and it's just like, the Karl Malone, I gotta get up in there. So I'm the next one, in my mind, I'm serious. Like, I put everything into that, right? And for her to say the plan B joint as a kid, plan B, plan C is like, or backup plan, just in case you get hurt, is like, you're like taking it away or something like that.
Like you pouring water on my
pouring acid on it or something like that. And it's just like, no. As I got older, I think about those times. It's she was saying the right thing. Maybe I would have said it differently.
The thing.
But they obviously as a parent, right? We're parents now. We can see, at a distance that our kid hadn't even experienced yet.
Right.
So obviously she's looking at me as an adult. She's looking at me. This thing is not gonna last. Right. And so what are you gonna do after that? And even the late great, Kobe Bryant, right? Even he at the end of his career, he's like, I gotta start figuring out what I'm gonna do outside of this. And so I think that's a thing that's a huge struggle in our community, is beyond those things.
What the lesson I've learned is, you said you would have said it another way, right, than your mom did. And I think the way to say it is, that's great that you have that passion, son, and that you have that dream, and that you're going after something, right, with everything you got. Like, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Keep that energy, right?
Yes.
And then know that you can transfer that energy to other things as well, right? Not just sports, because that's what worked for me, right? That's what I had to do when I came to the reality check, that I ain't going to nobody's league, but this dream that I've had, this commitment that I've had, this dedication, waking up at 5 in the morning to go to the court, working on my left hand because it was my weak hand, and then improving in it, right? Now I understand that I can learn, I can not be so good at something, and I can learn and practice and become good at it. And that applies to any field, right? Exactly. And so instead of, throwing water on the fire that's in your kid,
get rid of that ain't happening.
You have to encourage that, and then say, hey, these skills you're learning, you can apply to a lot of things. So Kobe Bryant applied the same passion to basketball to screenwriting, and production, and all those different things. The same principles that transfer.
And I think for my parents, man, and my mom especially, I think parents, what it is they can see much more of what you are. Because they know you better yourself. So she's like, hold on, no, I see X, Y, Z. If I can just get him to start thinking like that, then he can just really spread his full wings and not just this one little thing. It's very interesting though. As I got older, I don't know. It's like looking back. If I could redo it, I don't know if I put all my eggs in one bag.
Well, the thing too, and I think it's great that you had a mom that could understand you and all that stuff. I also think there's sometimes parents who, because of their own journey and their own path, and maybe the obstacles and failures they had, they become fearful, right? So you're dreaming big, but maybe they dreamt big and they failed. So now they're like, well, I love you. I don't want you to experience the same pain and anguish that I experienced. So I'm trying to protect you. But in protecting you, I'm kind of like restricting you. Right? Exactly.
And I just cannot, as a father now, right? As a new father, I cannot imagine allowing my kids to go through pain, bro.
No pain, no gain. Where we at? We in the gym, right? No pain, no gain, right?
I know, right? Yeah, it's easy to say for ourselves, but
no, you're right. I mean, we shield our children, right? We want them to be safe and cared for and all that, but we have to learn the lesson.
Right. Yeah. All right. So before we get in, that wasn't even the question. we're just on the intro. So, come on. Hey, come on. Hey. N10. All right, we're gonna sit on the. Hey, we getting warmed up in this thing, man. All right. So, question number 1, man. We're gonna get into it now. All right. So, why are you in politics, man? This has been something I've asked him since we met. Like, okay, teach me about, because I didn't know nothing about politics all like that. And as teachers, we would have these talks about our community, about kids, about teaching, about education. We've had so many intense conversations, and I would always jab back at him like, well, what's the deal about politics? Is it really, So, now I'm asking, why politics, man? Even still, when did we meet? Like what, 2000?
2013.
Was it 13 or 14? Was it 13? 13. It was before we got married, huh? Before me and actually got
married. Yeah, we're dating and everything.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah. So, okay. So why politics? For some of those who, why politics? We'll go with that.
So, I went from law school, and I made a very unorthodox decision to become a kindergarten teacher after law school, right? I'm the only person I know who's ever made that decision, right? Because I wanted to make a difference. I was searching for purpose, and for me it was about, hey, there are kids out there who got dreams as well, but don't have the same opportunities to fulfill those dreams, right? And for me, education was the path to my dreams coming true. So how can I use education to help other kids, right? And so I signed up for Teach for America, and I said I want to go where the need is highest, right? To the urban, right, inner city. And they sent me to Tulsa, Oklahoma, North Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? Historic Black Wall Street. And I came and I taught. I didn't know that prior.
At that time, did they sell it to you like,
nope.
Hey man, we're gonna send you to Black Wall Street,
nope,
and we're gonna get it. So what was the reason they sent you to Tulsa? Like, why North Tulsa?
Well, because
it's the worst.
Exactly, because we live in a state that's 49th in the nation in, education funding, 48th in teacher pay. Our educational outcomes are not that great, right? So when I said send me where the need is highest, that was on the top of the list, right? It was Mississippi, then it was Oklahoma, right? And so and I didn't know anything about Black Wall Street before I didn't learn that in the history books,
Oh, right.
So
exactly. So I learned it. For me, I learned it while we were teaching at that time.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what?
See, now that was the thing, because when I came, we did a little orientation, and I'm learning about this history. I'm embarrassed because I thought I went to some of the best schools that had great education, didn't learn about this. And then I come to meet people like you who grew up here and didn't know,
bro.
Right? So that's crazy,
And you went to Wilma Mary,
yeah. The nation's oldest law school.
Is that a black school?
No.
Not a black school. Okay.
Not a black school. Yeah, it's not a black school. It's a predominantly white institution.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a school that Thomas Jefferson went to, and a lot of the founding fathers, we're in Williamsburg, Virginia. It's actually in Jamestown, right, Virginia, where the first ships landed, right, from the old world to the new world, and where they brought the enslaved, folks to America. So it's crazy. But anyway, to answer the question, I come to teach after the second year of teaching. I'm teacher of the year at my school site. We've done great things on paper, right? But me and the conversation we had, right? We still live in a community where it's a food desert. There's no grocery stores. We incarcerate more men and women than anybody else in the country.
It's interesting because in the teacher world, especially in North Tulsa, the teacher world is tough in itself, right? But in North Tulsa, we would say this thing where, yes, Oklahoma is 48th, 49th. So we're already in the trenches, right? In terms of the 49th, 48th state.
Right.
But then we're also in the worst part of so we always say we're in the trench of the trenches.
Right. Yeah.
So we're in the trenches of the trenches. Like we're at the, where kids are like struggling just they're trying to make it to Stack, bro.
Man. Yeah, I mean, if you live in North Tulsa, your life expectancy is 10 years less than if you live in South Tulsa, where it's predominantly white. Yeah. So life expectancy is less, right? So it's just crazy stuff. So I'm like, I thought education was a silver bullet, that if I just came and taught, and I just taught my kids how to read and write and all this stuff, that we solve all our problems. Come to realize that wasn't it. Right?
Oh man,
and,
see, that ain't getting me started. Because we teach them how to read and write, right? I remember this one lady. I'm not gonna say names, but I remember this one lady. I was working at the school program, and we're teaching these kids, getting their reading scores up, and it's an after school program. It's helping them with their homework and stuff like that. And I would be on that, like we gotta get them to read and write, and Miss T, what's that gonna do? And like she's like in her 70s, bro. So she at that moment I'm thinking like, oh, you don't believe in the kid, you don't believe in it. But now thinking now, it's like, no, she had a bigger perspective. She understood like the struggle and like what is that gonna do by itself.
Right.
And I think as we're gonna get into it, but like you can do the things right on paper, right? And that's still not fix the situation.
Right.
So that's why I asked why politics, right? Because politics is things on paper, written out law. So what?
Well, no.
It's
So
my
yeah,
position,
yeah. For me, I came to realize that like all these circumstances we see in our community and that kids are in, it's really driven by politics and policy, right? Our elected leaders who control our tax dollars are making certain decisions. When they make a decision to give oil companies tax breaks instead of putting that money into education, it causes us to be 49th in the nation, right? When they decide they're not going to pay teachers what they're worth, so that, right, The teacher that has 3 kids and is working in North Tulsa has to work at Walmart on the weekends just to make ends meet, right? And we know that the number one school-based variable to student success is great teachers. We know, we saw some great teachers. Your wife was a great teacher, and you saw the impact she had on kids. We also saw some pretty not so great teachers, right? And if you're not paying, right, teachers well enough, then you're not going to attract talent, right? You're not going to have kids dreaming of being teachers when they grow up, right? Because why would I do that? I'm going to be earning $30,000 a year. Like, I can't live on that.
So are you saying politics, okay, they played a huge role in what's going on in Highway 48th and all this like that?
Yes.
So are they playing, so politics is the reason why the kids in North Tulsa struggle? You're saying,
That's definitely a big part of it. Look, listen, and we'll get to this at the end. You have a question about rules that grows out of concrete, right? Politics and our elected leaders, they are like the architects. They're like the farmers, right? They're supposed to build a garden. They're supposed to build the environment that we live in and our kids live in, right? And if they build the right environment, the kids who are seeds, they have great potential. They're going to grow and blossom naturally. What our elected leaders have done is they've built concrete jungles, right? And they expect kids and seeds to grow and blossom out of that. But you're not gonna have seeds. You're gonna have a few grow out of the cracks in the concrete.
So concrete jungle, and you have some people out there who don't think that's a real thing. First of all, is that real? Yes, right?
Yes.
How is that real? How is that possible? There's concrete jungle, and then what is concrete jungle? Some people don't even think that's real, right?
Yeah, because I mean, look, all you got to do, just drive. Shit, get in your car. If you're a white person, you live in South Tulsa, get in your car, drive through your neighborhood, and then keep going north, okay? And see the difference, right? You'll see the gardens, and then you drive through the gardens, and you start seeing the concrete, right? Metaphorically speaking. Like it's a different different amenities. You know, you see the QTs in your neighborhood, you see the Walmarts and the Whole Foods and the Targets and the Harris Teeters, right? And then you keep driving and you don't see them no more, right? You don't see the gas station no more, right? You don't see all those things.
Now he's trying to come at me. He trying to talk about. We trying to put my business out.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm in South Tulsa. He trying to come at me with this. Okay, listen. Look.
Man. So if you don't believe it's real, just drive and you'll see how real it is.
No, it's real, man. It's funny because even though we live south for the most part of my marriage, we drove north every day.
Right.
I mean, we only spent the night out here. I mean, because in teaching, it's like, bro, you there. It's dark when you get there. Yeah. It's almost dark when you leave. Yeah. Especially when it's like parent-teacher conference, bro. Oh
no, actually, let me say this. Don't just say as teachers, right? Because that's not the case for all teachers. If you're a teacher in a South Tulsa school,
we're talking about
urban environment.
North Tulsa.
Exactly. When you're teaching in the concrete jungle, you get there because you have to get there way early, and you can't leave early. You got and it's harder to work in an urban environment, right? In those schools than it is elsewhere, right? So like this is the situation that's created, and we can't just blame the kids or the people in the community. If you see a seed that's not blossoming and growing, look, if I want to plant a garden, right, and I don't give it, the right nutrients and fertilizer, I don't give it water, I don't make sure the sun beats on it, and if I come out and nothing is grown, I can't be mad at the seeds. I can't be like, oh man, I got to blame myself. Like, I got to do a better job of building the garden.
So do we live in a society that says, why aren't you growing out of this concrete?
Yeah.
Like I did out of this nice fertilized environment. How come you can't pull yourself up by your own bootstraps?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Why can't you make it? He made it. And
even worse, what happens is, so Tyron, you make it, right? You make it out of the concrete, right? Out of the cracks in the concrete, right? And then somebody who grew up in the garden is going to come and you're telling them your experience, and they'll say, well, you made it, so how come those other kids, those friends you had, how come they didn't make it, right? And they'll make you try to feel like, yeah, you're better than your friends. You're better than the people in your family who didn't make it, right? And some of us buy into that lie. And we say, yeah, I did make it out of this concrete jungle. I worked hard. They should have worked just as hard. That's the wrong message to send. The message I send is, no, You do not know my family, my friends that I grew up with that didn't make it. They were just as smart as me. They were just as talented as me. But because we were in a concrete jungle, only a few of us could make it through, right? There were seeds down there that had the same potential, but they were choked up because the crack is only so big. So when you see a rose grow out of concrete, it's an indictment on the people who built the concrete. You right? So like that's what people have to realize, you know, and that's the story we have to tell them. Like, yo, thank you for the compliment, but let me tell you that there are a lot of other talented people where I come from.
And more,
right?
There was someone better than Michael Jordan, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you know, but you know, he was that one that flourished out of it some kind of way.
Right.
And also, you know, as teachers, we also realize the importance of parenthood, right? The importance of the home, right? So we've been teachers teaching kids, but now we on the other side, and we're parents, and we understand now the bias love that you have for your kid, right? Like, it's crazy, man.
Yo, you know, the crazy thing, though, I've come to have an appreciation for, because, you know, we were teachers, and we'll see in the mornings, we'll be greeting people coming in, and we'll see certain mothers, single mothers, they'll have a baby in hand, they'll have 3 kids following, right? And we didn't really think much of it, but now that we're parents, I'm like, how did they do that?
By themselves, bro.
Like, I'm like, they must have not got no sleep the night before.
Listen, because the wifey gone, I'm be honest with you. Let her go to the store, or, you know, I'm gonna get me about to eat real quick, or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, I mean, that first time, I was like,
yeah, man.
Okay, you know,
it's crazy. But to bring it full circle, right? So even that, right? Oklahoma, we lead the nation, dog, in incarceration and putting men and women in prison. Okay, and it's not like these are hardened criminals. Most of them are non-violent drug offenses, which means marijuana, right? So you smoking marijuana or you selling marijuana, which is, by the way, recreational legal, right? Legal in 11 states, recreationally, and 33 medical, right? But we've used that as an excuse to take black men and women,
to keep them on,
to take them out of their family, out of their communities, and put them in prison. So now you have single parent households. You know, people talk about affirmative action and they think about black people getting affirmative action, right? When actually white men have been getting affirmative action this whole time.
So you said white men has special privilege, especially those who own land. So this thing is about land. This thing is about ownership too.
Well, no, I mean, it's about wealth. It's about wealth, right? I mean, if you have land, if you go get enslaved, you know, you get human beings from Africa and you enslave them and you get them to work on that land for free for a lifetime, and then their babies are, when they enter this world, are enslaved for a lifetime, and you do that over hundreds of years. Why do you think America became a superpower, right? The fastest ever. He had free labor for that many years.
No wonder we couldn't go that quick. You know what's interesting? I heard this just recently, like a week ago. My parents over here showed me through some old photos of my grandpa and everything like that. And my mom was telling me that my grandpa actually, you know, their family was enslaved. He was 9, and he came from Louisiana to Oklahoma. He did at 9. Himself walked. Right? And so I'm like, dang, this man escaped at 9, and then later on his dad, they finna connecting the family and stuff like that. I'm like, whoa.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And he just died in 2007.
Wow. So
he was like 89, 90 when he passed away.
That's crazy.
So it's not that long ago.
It's not that long, exactly. It's not that long ago at all, right? And so so I mean, it's important. This is why education is important. You know, we can't. You know,
how is education important?
Well, look, look at the point I was gonna make.
Is it?
Listen to the point I was gonna make. Right? there were white people in Teach for America who came to teach in urban, right, school district because they're thinking, oh, these black kids need education
right.
and we need to close the achievement gap. Well, guess what? When years pass and they realize the truth about our country and our history, and they see what's going on with unarmed black people, and then they say, you know what? I actually think I should go to the white school district and teach there because about what's going on, about racism and systemic oppression. I think white, because what's happening is I'm a white person that's learned this stuff, and I'm trying to tell my parents and my friends from back home and they're like, "What are you talking about?" No, and they're saying all these other things. All lives matter, right? Exactly. So they're like, So the problem isn't really with these black kids; it's the fact that these white folk aren't educated about our history, and so they are supporting these oppressive systems that are keeping these black kids, right, and their families in the position that they're in, right? So that's why I'm saying education matters. Education that shows us the real history of our country, so that we can actually, not to bash America, but so that we can change it and make it better, right? Because I'll say this, America is not a single story. I'm not bashing America. My parents came here because they believed in America, right? In America, I'm glad we wrote down those words, right? Because now it means that every generation can work to make them more true and to perfect our union, right? So I'm full of hope. This is why I'm working hard. This is why I'm running for office. It ain't easy. I have to deal with people who don't like me, who hate me, and all this stuff. But I'm doing it because I'm full of hope that we can make this nation better. We can make it work for more and more people. And that's what makes us great. We're at our best when we're expanding opportunity for more and more people. We're at our worst when we're trying to restrict opportunity, right? And scapegoat one group and pit one group against another and divide people and conquer, right? That's when we're at our worst, right? So I believe in building bridges. That's why for our campaign, Kojo for Congress, our tagline is bridge the divide, right? Because we have other elected officials who want to build walls and divide people, right? I want to bridge the divide and bring people together. But I also say this, I love this quote. It says, I'd rather be divided by truth than united in error, right? So truth is the highest value, not unity. Let's establish the truth about who we are, what's going on, what we're trying to do, and then let's unite to build a better world, right? In truth, love and truth.
Yeah, and I heard a guy, a guy on Breakfast Club talk about how unity and uniform is two different things. True unity is that we can have differences, look different, think different, believe different, but still have a sense of respect for each other and unity. Versus uniform is we look alike. You're not uniform. We look alike. We dress alike. You know, like education. Uniforming it up and talking the same, looking the same, all that stuff. So
and that's why it's like and this is the thing, right? With South Tulsa and North Tulsa divide, and if I lived in North Tulsa and I get successful, I have to move out south. But then you realize that they're not going to accept me just the way I am. I have to be uniform. So, I have to quote unquote assimilate. I have to talk different.
I have to cut my hair.
I have to smile when I don't want to smile. All this stuff just to make you feel comfortable. It's like, no, true unity is you accept me for who I am.
Respect the person for they are.
Right.
So. Well, hey, man. Congressman Kojo in the house, man. Formerly teacher, formerly, principal. Now congressman, man. And excited, man. That's what's up.
Thank you.
Hey.
Coach T, I need to come here.
Hey, come get a workout.
Get in shape, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get these muscles
ready because you're entering in the real war.
For real, you know what I'm saying? I gotta be ready for the battle, like Paul said. So no, that's awesome, man.